Hello everyone! As has been the case every Saturday for a while, we take another dive into the mysterious world of the Forgotten Languages website, exploring its ties with UFOs. Today we are going to study the topics of interdimensional aliens and dreams as the fabric of the cosmos. We are nearing the end of 2016, and on the 19th of December that year the website posted an article titled Travelers of the Bulk. Now you see us, now you don't. To spoil it a little, we are going to take a look at the possible modes of travel and contact, the famous interdimensional hypothesis promoted by some titans of ufology, just to name Jacques Vallée, and lately also by the physicist Dr. Eric W. Davis. Without further ado, let's listen to the English text.
God is of no significance from a military point of view. However, religion and faith is. In the same vein, aliens per se are of no defense significance for us, though their presence in our airspace is. No matter how advanced they are in comparison to us, once here they must adapt to our own environment, much as you need to adapt yourself to the variety of operational theaters here on Earth when you go to fight a war. You need neoprene and wetsuits when you wish to explore the creatures living in the depths of the ocean, much as they need their spacecrafts if they wish to explore our world, no matter how ethereal you depict them.
This text made me think of the 2023 and 2024 UAP hearings before the US Congress, most notably Ryan Graves and his Airspace Safety Initiative, as well as Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who mentioned unidentified submerged objects. The Forgotten Languages article echoes their statements, I think. While aliens, assuming they are responsible for the sightings, etc., do not seem to have overt hostile intentions, their presence does cause risks, just to name aviation safety, both in military and civilian realms.
For what we know, regardless of the mechanism of trapping, its very existence implies that all matter in the universe may be connected through the fifth dimension by means of electromagnetic or other signals. Now, if all matter and energy in the universe is tied up together, it must be in a manner that usual locality and causality on the shell would prohibit. This may in turn explain those weird macroscopic action at a distance we observe when we face hostile visitors, and this opens the door for us to fight them.
The idea that non-human intelligence uses additional dimensions which may be folded so small that they are below the Planck limit, and therefore below our capacity to observe them, is a recurring theme in ufology. The idea of weaponizing such extra dimensions would be problematic, at least according to the known physics. Unless there are classified projects which can potentially access those mysterious realms, there is no way we could access and utilize those unknown reaches of reality. The next paragraph confirms that, while the non-English parts of the text also indicate brains, known from the brain cosmology theory, with brains being singular universes floating in a hyperspace of sorts called the bulk.
These proposals are an alternative to the usual claim that extra dimensions are curled up to an unobservable size, an assertion that is not devoid of problems. In the alternative approach, our universe becomes a thin shell in a larger hyperuniverse. The trapping has to be gravitationally repulsive in nature.
Gravity weapons are also mentioned, and thus far they remain only a dream of the military. Gravity as a force poses its own plethora of problems, the main of which is that it seems to be incompatible with the other major forces known to physics. More direct application of gravitational weapons could render space impassable, crush objects in space, and those are the tip of the iceberg mentions that I came up quickly on the spot here.
Future weapons will all be based on gravity. Tweaking gravity is what gives you a strategical advantage. The absolute key point here is that gravity can connect three brain worlds via the bulk, and that the visitors, from wherever they happen to come, must traverse the bulk from their home planet to ours. Once here, they must adapt to our local conditions, but there is a critical moment, the entry point. At the entry, or exit, point, what you observe is that the object becomes red-shifted and blue-shifted enormously. It is our only chance to detect where in our universe they come in or out.
I think that the next part refers to the infamous MH370 flight, which was a subject of a major controversy approximately 2 years ago. A video repeatedly debunked and unbunked showed allegedly set planes circled around by three orb-like objects, which seemed to traverse a complex geometric pattern around the plane before they possibly opened a portal, which caused the plane to vanish together with its occupants. While most people concluded that the video is a fake, there are many who still believe that there may be a grain of truth to it.
Reanalyzing the encounter between a Gies-Ellian event and the denied Boeing 747 incident in light of what we now know, we can postulate that a signal traveling along an extra-dimensional null geodesic may leave our three-brain, travel into the extra dimensions, and subsequently return to a different place on our three-brain in a shorter time than the time a signal confined to our three-brain would take. If these geodesics may connect distant points, which would otherwise be outside the four-dimensional horizon, those points would also be affected by the entry event. In our analysis, when ATC informs the crew that transmissions are garbled and asks them to change transmitting frequencies, what happened is that the Gies-Ellian object was performing the exit operation, that is, entering into the bulk. The post-incident report clearly states that transmissions returned to nominal after some 15 minutes of heavy interference. It is important to notice that this is a long time for the entry/exit operation to complete and gives us a chance to neutralize the threat at the very moment the entry/exit operation starts.
The next article we are going to discuss today was posted on Christmas Day in 2016, and its title was The Dream Texture of the Cosmos. Dreams in general are one of the major topics discussed by the Forgotten Languages website. From their role in contact with non-human intelligence and possible interstellar travel to unknown modes of human-human communication and simulation theory, dreams permeate the substrate of the entire project. So let's see what the English text says this time.
Not all conscious activities are computational processes. Consciousness is a phenomenon experienced by a special type of object, the one we call observer. For what we know, all quantum measurements require an observer, a conscious observer. There are quantum systems that necessarily involves a certain conscious activity, and, as it happens, those quantum systems seem to be essential for explaining the cosmos.
So far so good. We seem to hear some generalities, but nothing particularly groundbreaking. There are speculations that our brains may be receivers of consciousness, possibly involving quantum phenomena in structures called microtubules, opening avenues to interactions between ourselves and reality which are scarcely studied and even more poorly understood.
An observable is considered to represent the conscious status of an observer while observing a given state vector, that is, a phenomenon. This is also valid for a Denebian probe observing, at a given point in time, a conscious being. In that process, the observer and the Denebian probe are bound and inseparable, at least for the time the observation takes place. Now, let's assume instead of a Denebian probe, we have a process in which a human and a Gies-Ellian meet face to face. Who is the observer? Who's the observed?
The eternal problem: who is more profound a party to human and non-human contact. The Denebians and Gies-Ellians, the two extraterrestrial races proposed by Forgotten Languages, seem to be involved with the Earth and humanity. Denebians seems to be the observers, using mostly probes, while Gies-Ellians are not strangers to direct contact. In theory, both species or races could contact us through dreams if given the thought. This in turn latches on nicely to the dreamlike quality of purported alien contact. In the article, we once again have a mention of the Ulara event from March 2016, which we already discussed, a possible time anomaly which manifested in a UFO crash in Australia.
Scientists believe in naive realism. Only what they see with their instruments seems real. They cannot see Denebian probes, therefore Denebian probes do not exist. That was the paradigm before the Ulara event. This is what happens when you observe a Denebian probe. You observe a strange glimmering object hovering in midair, just in front of you. You use your eyes to collect visual information, and you use your brain to process that information and generate a visual representation of the object. But, as a human, your visual perception has a maximum rate of information processing that cannot be exceeded. That rate is about 45 bits per second. The Denebian probe is engineered to cope with those biological limitations in your brain. It knows your brain treats observations as a message containing information, and it knows information for you means regularities, patterns, and a definite statistical structure. Otherwise, your brain wouldn't be able to process the information.
Orb-like UAPs are usually treated as probes indeed, sometimes as carriers of sentience and/or consciousness, but at the end of the day they are still observers. Whether culturally connected or not, like the Igigi of the ancient Sumer of the Watchers of the Judeo-Christian paradigm, they seem to match the lore and myths of humanity dating back so far in time that their origin may as well be lost to history in the pre-writing era. And the last two paragraphs of the text seem to explain a lot regarding those orb-like objects, why we cannot really perceive them properly, but also why no clear pictures of them are taken, too.
That's why the Denebian probe flickers, quickly changes position, shape, color, etc., so fast your brain simply cannot process what your eyes see. And there you are, puzzled, stoned, amazed at what have just happened in your living room, in front of you, and for which you find no words to describe. It is a heartbreaking and totally distressing experience. There is a time delay between when the thought of an action occurs and when the awareness of making an action happens. Your brain is always performing a constant comparison of incoming information with that in memory, and this process is essential for understanding the meaning of the incoming information. Denebian probes are designed taking these limitations into account, and that's why you can get an approximate idea of what these probes are only when you dream. In other words, information exchange with these entities can only be done in the dream state.
What do you make of today's topics, dear viewers? Do you believe in the inter or extra-dimensional theory as a plausible idea presenting the origin point of the aliens? And do you think that dreams are somehow connected to UAPs and are orbs really close to their description provided by the Forgotten Languages website? Let me know in the comment section down below. Perhaps you have some of your own experiences too. And in the next video we are going to land in year 2017, I believe, and as we do we are going to see ever more crazy stuff coming from the website, so stay tuned. That would be all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe and share the video if you enjoyed the content, and we will be back with you with another one very soon indeed. Take care.